Sweta Chakraborty is a climate science expert. She's also the founder of Adapt to Thrive, a program focused on the issues emerging from a warming planet, such as food security and disease. Just give me your overview on this. It's really remarkable what we're seeing. I mean, a lot of really violent storms.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really frequent, it's intense, and it's, for what we understand, increasing in number and intensity since we have been able to keep records on tornadoes since the 1950s. And it's hard to say that through climate modeling and the traditional methods of kind of keeping track of what's going on in terms of extreme weather events, because tornadoes are really unique. They're unique in that they have a really limited space that they are impacting, and for that reason, it's not always able to be picked up. But as climate scientists have been saying for years, there is a trend that we're noticing as the planet is warming. We're seeing that increasingly severe storms are picking up, and you need severe storms to have tornadoes. You don't always get tornadoes with severe storms, but if we're increasing in impact and intensity around severe storms, we can predict that there's going to be an increased number of tornadoes. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah, almost about 1,000 reported in the U.S. so far this year. That's a huge number. Dr. Jennifer Francis is a scientist who researches connections between global warming and the jet stream, and she says these are exactly the types of long-lived patterns we expect to see happen more often as the Arctic warms and melts rapidly. So that connection, she's making the connection. How alarming should this be to people watching?
And you know, she's absolutely right. And what she's been saying is supported by a recent report in Nature that came out just last week. And so what we're seeing is that because the planet is warming, that jet stream is what normally is a very structured, rapid movement of air between the north and the mid-latitudes. And what's happening with the planet warming and the Arctic ice melting is you're seeing that structure give way and become more of like it's just delineated. And so the cold air that normally is structured up in the north is making its way down. That air mass coming down to the mid-latitudes is now experiencing being confronted with warmer air masses that you expect to see at this time of year, and that is creating these really severe extreme impacts in the U.S. especially. So we're seeing increased precipitation, increased drought, increased tornadoes, severe storm systems, flooding. All of these things are very much aligned to what we would expect and very consistent with what we would expect with the planet warming.
Also, fires, drought. I guess if you were Robert Mueller and you were laying out your case, all indicators are that we are seeing an issue here. The United States has walked away from the Paris Climate Accord. All the other countries still signed on. How serious is climate as an issue? And do you think it's going to be an issue in the upcoming presidential election?
Climate is an issue globally, and it's unfortunate that this administration doesn't recognize just how much of an impact it's going to have on the coming elections and collectively all of our futures. What meteorologists refer to as teleconnections. So even though the U.S. is unique in experiencing tornadoes compared to the rest of the world, that doesn't mean that we aren't connected globally. And so there are extreme impacts, whether we're talking about tornadoes in the U.S. or we're talking about extreme floods or increased hurricanes in other parts of the world. We are all connected. And so the rest of the world gets that. And the United States and this current administration needs to recognize that, and that's going to be really relevant in this upcoming election. We're talking about our future and our livelihoods.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about this for a while, I have a suspicion. Sweta, thanks so much for coming on. Really
Thank you for having me.